Hello and welcome to this special edition of the Vedic Lunar Scope for Mars's retrograde period in Sravana Nakshatra, which is going to start on the 26th of June when Mars stations and turns retrograde, and will continue through to the 27th of August when Mars will station and turn back direct again. So why is it that you do the things that you do? Why? And I think you know those things that I'm talking about. And if you don't know those things that I'm talking about, well, pretty soon you're going to be kind of going over all those things that I'm talking about. And probably about the time Mars is done with its retrograde period, you'll have a deeper idea of why you're doing those things that you do. So the key to this particular transit of Mars is all those pathways that you form with your mind that make you think that you're coming up with really logical answers to difficult situations. Only those pathways tend to take you in this direction, then there's a twist and a turn, and in this direction, and before you know it, you're kind of reaching a dead end. And you're not really sure why you're reaching a dead end. It made complete, perfect, logical sense when you first came up with the idea. So then you kind of go, right, well, let's start another little pathway that goes and winds around that little obstruction that I encountered before. I can go around that and I can go this way and it'll take me another way. And then certainly I'm going to reach the destination that way. Dead end again. And so then you go, well, the reason I had that dead end is because I didn't go this way and I didn't go that way and I didn't make this choice and I didn't make that choice. And so you begin to do that and try to go around all those things that were obstructions before until finally you hit another obstruction. Well, guess what? Maybe there is something wrong with the beginning of that path that you're taking. Maybe that beginning of the path leads to a secondary step, which eventually leads you to a particular position where you've opened up all these different trails and all these different pathways, all of which lead to absolutely nowhere. So what can you do about that? Do you just kind of throw in the towel and go, well, I'm stuck. I don't feel like I'm able to act. I'm just going to kind of sit here on my backside and do absolutely nothing about the situation? Well, sometimes when Mars is retrograde, the temptation on a certain level is to do that. But most likely, you're going to feel that you have to do something. And especially in those tricky areas that Mars rules in your particular horoscope. And if you'd like a little bit more information on that about your personal horoscope, there are several different levels of astrological service at the link above. So, you form all these different pathways, these different ways of thinking that your logic is going to take you in a certain direction. And you end up feeling stuck, but you feel like you have to do something. But yet it feels like taking that action is something you no longer feel like you have the confidence for, something on a certain level you feel like you no longer have the energy for, and you really kind of truly feel stuck with all sorts of different options and opportunities, all of which seem to lead you absolutely nowhere. So what you need to do is you need to think, okay, well, this one leads to a dead end. That one leads to a dead end. This one leads to a dead end. What is the common theme that all those different pathways that I make with my mind, what is the common theme that all those different pathways have? And then you'll come to an understanding of what's wrong with your logic, why your logic is faulty. You see, Mars is the planet that rules logic. Mars is the great strategist, always coming up with ideas and plans. Sure, Mercury is the more differentiational. Did I say that? Differentiational. That's a tough word. Nature of the mind. But Mars is the logical capacity and the strategist. And so Mars will always try to find a strategy to solve that problem. And when all those strategies don't end up working out, Mars's dignity gets hurt because Mars is a warrior and Mars feels like he has to fight for something, right? So that warrior can't just keep, going and fighting this battle and fighting that battle and fighting every single battle. Eventually he, kind of has to go, I need to really kind of pull my forces together. And if I'm going to fight a battle, fight one battle that makes a lot of sense. But the only problem is, likely in one area of your life, most especially those areas ruled by Mars, you've been fighting battles in several different areas, none of which seem to make any sense. And you need to kind of consolidate and recognize, how can I make this easier on myself? And the way to make it easier is to go, what do all those different pathways that have gone wrong have in common? What do all those different battle plans that I've had in all these different areas have in common that's gone wrong? Think about what that one thing is and think about the commonality with it. And once you've kind of thought about it, toss that idea aside and tune in. Try to use your intuition. See what your intuition is telling you. If your intuition matches up with that one level of logical thinking that brings together all those different mistakes that you've made and helps you to have a clear idea as to how to not make those mistakes, if intuition and the logical mind match, bingo, you've got it. Okay? If it doesn't, it's back to the drawing board, right? With Sravana Nakshatra, quite often we can get stuck with too many different ideas and too many different options. Mars, as it's going retrograde, is going to be dealing with a conjunction with Ketu. Ketu can quite often, especially when it's connected with Mars, it can make us feel like, we're kind of wanting to stick with what we think is the tried and true, but the tried and true is really the tried and absolutely false and completely leading nowhere, other than keeping us kind of stuck in the past and facing a brick wall that we just never really seem like we're going to be able to climb over. But again, if you consolidate your forces, if you consolidate your energy, and so sure, that little bit of reluctance, that low or lull in the energy that you may be feeling, maybe that's good because it gives you a chance to kind of pull yourself together on a certain level, right? It gives you a chance to retreat. Mars doesn't like to retreat, but it's actually sometimes helpful to retreat because then you get to come up with a strategy that makes more sense. The problem is Mars has not been confronting the head honcho, right? You astrologically you can say that's the sun, but what I'm really talking about is the soul. And one of the factors that helps us to tune into our soul is our intuition. Sometimes our senses don't see things correctly. And if our senses don't see things correctly, how can we ever, hope to make the right decision? And, the part of the mind that relates to the senses is the moon. And actually, the moon's connected with Sravana Nakshatra. So as the moon waxes and wanes, so too does our capacity to see things clearly. And so during this period of time, it's all about recognizing those little neural pathways that you make that kind of lead you down a very dark alleyway inside your mind that really kind of takes you to a dead end. And rather than continuing to try just all these different pathways, you need to pull back and you need to kind of go, as I said before, which of these pathways makes the most sense? If none of them make any sense whatsoever, look at why none of them make sense. Or if they all seem to make sense, but you're kind of questioning why it didn't work out to your advantage, you got to look at the common thread that all those mistakes have in common. From there, you can begin to shape a different strategy. And again, I'll say it once more. Once you've shaped that different strategy, let the intuition have the final say. And if the intuition and the logical mind don't match up, go back to the drawing board until they do connect. And when they do connect, that's when you have your plan for forward motion. If you'd like a little bit of help in understanding what this particular transit might be about for you, I do offer several different levels of astrological service, all of which are available through the astrological services link, which you should see in the video above right about this time. That's going to do it for this look at Mars's retrograde period through Sravana Nakshatra, which starts on the 26th of June and goes through to the 27th of August. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.